In today's video, I'm going to share with you what I've done so far in this really fun prompt book by Chloe Rose Art. So if you don't know who Chloe Rose Art is, she is an amazing YouTube content creator artist who is so talented, and she has this really fun and quirky personality. She is definitely somebody who inspired me to start creating more and even to start this channel, really. Anyway, she created this prompt book, and this is a prompt book with a difference. This book has a story narrated through every prompt. So here is the introduction to the story and the prompt book, and I'll give this a quick read. For thousands of years, artists have abandoned their sketches. Incomplete artwork and doodles are left to collect dust. Creative potential with nowhere to go. These incomplete drawings get sent to the lost sketches realm, and if you aren't careful, you may find yourself drawn into its doorways. These doorways are sometimes disguised as a simple sketchbook, and the only way to escape it is to complete it. You have been warned. So that's a nice introduction. What also makes this prompt book different is that this prompt book is not filled with prompts and blank pages. Without spoiling too much, if I just have a quick flick through, you can see there's a variety of different pages, some colouring, some add-ons, some already coloured in, some even reverse colouring style ones. As this is my first prompt book, having these partially illustrated pages along with the prompt also makes it less daunting as opposed to just a prompt and a blank page, which can be quite scary for some of us. Here we are at page 1, and I'll read you the story as I go through the pages. So you find a small bookstore in a quaint town. The book's spines appear to be blank, so you draw the spines to look like some of your favourite books. In the middle of the stacks, you notice a red book. Drawn to it, you pick it up. Obviously, there's the red book in the middle that was already there. I chose to go for a really old, antique bookshelf, really dark, rich colours. So that was the feel that I really wanted to go for this page. Old, antique bookstore in a stately home. And instead of drawing the spines to look like my favourite books, not a big reader at all. However, I am a really big Alice in Wonderland fan. So what I've decided to do here is, instead of writing the names of books that I know and I love, I've decided to fill them in with Alice in Wonderland quotes. Have I gone mad? I'm afraid so. You're entirely bonkers. But I'll tell you a secret. All the best people are. Yeah, so I've done that through all of the books. Curious and Curiouser, Drink Me, Off with Their Heads. Yeah, that was my approach to page 1. I'll go straight in with the story first. In the blink of an eye, you are drawn inside the book and met with a strange-looking bear with a bad fashion sense. Hello, my name is Berlin. You open my sketchbook. I've been trapped here in the lost sketches realm with no way out. I've tried to buy another sketchbook without completing the last 4 I had. So this one has trapped me until I finish it. Please help me complete my sketches so we can both get out of here. Actually, that is so true. I don't think I've ever really completed a sketchbook. But now I've started this YouTube channel, I am going to complete a sketchbook at some point, like I've got to. This page, there was nothing to draw. It was all here for you. I mean, you can draw and add to it as much as you want. These are your books. These are just starting points for you to be inspired by. So I went for this colour palette where it's purples, blues, turquoises. I used pencils on the background and some felts at the back. Now the paper is really thick and good quality paper. However, water-based felt pens are left really streaky, and I know that a lot of water-based felt pens can be streaky, but the set that I have don't usually leave streaks. So going throughout the book, I've decided to use less felts and more pencils. Maybe I'll get to try some other mediums, who knows. Right, so page 3. Suddenly, Berlin is gone, and in its place is a bizarre bouquet of balloons, birds, and floating rockets appear. Attached to it is your favourite possession. You know, the first thing you'd save in a fire if you had to. Once you're drawing it, the balloon, rocket, bird bouquet shoots off into the sky with you holding on. This page was completely blank apart from the drawn bouquet of balloons. Now, I specialised in textiles, constructed textiles when I was at university. So the one thing for me is my sewing machine. So I decided to draw a sewing machine and I outlined it in this zebra gel pen, which has worked out really, really well because it's very similar thickness to the lines already illustrated in the book. So I think it sort of molds itself into being part of the book, which I really, really enjoy. And then obviously I went in with my pencils to do a really nice background of it floating above the houses and the fields, and really played around with doing some cloud textures in the sky with my pencils. Not something I'm used to doing. So I thought, yeah, why not? Let's go for it. Let's fill this page. What the book's inspiring you to do, to just get creative. And that's where that page took me. Slowly the balloons begin to pop and the birds fly away. You are left on the ground. You notice a woman in red looking out to what used to be a beach. It seems faded away. You take it upon yourself to bring back the ocean and sand. Then you draw a picnic basket on the swing next to the woman. The prompt about the picnic basket, let's not just... There is a picnic basket there. It is pretty horrific. So I'm going to just scoot past that and go to the background. I actually chose a colour palette from Sarah Renee Clark Colour Cube. Now it is a pale background. It really is a pale background. But I went in and did some of those clouds that I'd done on the previous page. And then I decided to use more of a turquoise and a coral colour for the sand, just to give it a bit more contrast and something a bit different to a normal sandy beach. I somewhat enjoyed that page. I did get a white gel pen out and try and do some like little wave edges. I don't know if you can see them. But my Uniball Signo white gel pen doesn't sit very well on these pencils, which I have, which are just basic fibre castels, like entry-level basic fibre castels, nothing crazy. The next page, the woman in red is not moving, so you decide to peek into the picnic basket. Using only red, yellow and pink shades, colour the page, but watch out for those wasps. They might come to life the second you colour them in. Colouring exercise using only those colours. I had quite a lot of fun colouring these in. It does challenge you a little bit for colour placement and still making it look visually pleasing, because you want to make it look visually pleasing. Most of those items on there do belong to a red, yellow, pink family, so that's helpful in itself. Again, I just highlighted some details with my Uniball Signo white gel pen, and once it was all done, I just felt like it needed a traditional gingham picnic blanket underneath. So I spent probably more time on the gingham blanket than what I did actually colouring the elements on this page. But I'm glad I did, because I feel that it just sets this page off. Right then, next page. The picnic basket suddenly begins to grow and make space for more food inside. You draw your favourite snacks because wasp flavoured jam isn't your chosen delicacy. So this was probably the first blank page that I've come across. Just the prompt. Draw your snacks and food you want in your picnic blanket, basically. So, of course, drew a sausage roll. I always think that you can't go for a picnic without some sort of mini sausages or sausage rolls. A nice cheese and cucumber sandwich. I am a sucker for a cheese and cucumber sandwich. I feel like that is such a British sandwich to have, but there you go. Mini cheddars, one of my child's favourite snacks at the moment now as well, mini cheddars. And that purple wrapped chocolate, I think we know what brand that one is. Shrimps and bananas are my favourite sweeties, of course. Mint chocolate chip ice cream, a croissant and a donut, why not? As you can see here, I am slightly addicted to sugar. Why not? I mean, it says to make way for your favourite snacks, and we've already had a lot of good stuff there. So, you know, I think there's space for some junk food. Next, moving on to the next page. Covered in sand, jam, and snacks, you walk further down the beach and notice 3 beach huts using only pastel colours, the only acceptable colours for a beach hut. You bring them to life. And I totally agree with that. A really lovely colouring page again. You can take this a step further and draw loads more things on the beach if you want to. It always reminds me when I see these beach huts of lime reges on the south coast, and most of them are white, but then each one has a different accent colour on. So you've got like the blue there and the blue door, and then the next one is like white again with like a yellow door and a yellow trim, and then the next one's like white with a pink trim and a pink door, and they're just all lined up in a row, and even the colour order of the beach hut are in a regimented order. So when I came to this page, that did take me back to one of my holiday memories, let's say. So here on the next page, beneath the beach huts, you see some turtles. One has stolen a bucket to use as his shell, using items you find on the beach, inflatable rings, beach balls, a random soggy sock covered in sand. Give the rest of the turtles a shell before they get sunburned. So this was a fun, quirky prompt, definitely. So I decided to use a beach umbrella for one, because I just thought, hey, that just seems like a really appropriate shape for a turtle shell. And then I drew a straw hat for the other one, because again, I thought that might be a really fun hat. And let's face it, can you imagine how many of these hats have ended up blowing off people's heads and down the beach? So that was a really fun page. And then I did background and just some bubbles again in my white Uniball Sigma. That does not work very well on the pencils, but hey, I'm just going with it. Now, next page is like a reverse colouring page. So the prompt says, you decided to head to the water. The swirls and shapes look familiar. Using only a fine tip pen, draw the shapes, creatures, or alien animal hybrids you see in it. The first thing that I saw was the octopus. So I did try and still stick to the underwater ocean theme, because I thought that would make it a little bit more challenging, as opposed to just draw around the squiggles and maybe put eyes in them. I don't know. I've never done reverse colouring before, but it does really make your brain think in a different way. I'm not going to lie, but I was quite happy with how it came up in the end. So I started with the octopus, and then I saw like a fin here, like a whale fin, and then the seahorse and one of these fish. I think that worked out really well. And then I was like, oh, there's a little shark, let's add that in. Got a weird fin and a weird fish. And then I thought, oh yeah, let's finish off at this bottom with some coral. For my first attempt, I don't think I did too bad. I got in the swing of it after a while. I did get into the swing of it, so that's good. So next page. With sand in every crevice, you jump headfirst into the water. Beneath the surface, you see Berlin holding a green crayon. Using only crayons, complete this underwater scene for extra effect. Scrape the top layer of the crayon wax away for more beautiful colouring experience. I had to go and buy some wax crayons for this page, and the only wax crayons they had were these big ones. So the only crayons they had in the shop close to me were these big ones. Very big, very large, no paper on them. I think the problem is they don't say wax crayons, they just say colouring crayons. Now, these were actually quite a dream to use. I'm not going to lie, I really enjoyed using these. You could shade with them, you could colour with them, and as you can see with this page sitting side by side, these are my pencils, my Faber-Castells, and these are these crayons, and you can't see that much difference in them. Like, you really can't see that much difference in them. But because of them being this way, you couldn't scrape off the top layer like the prompt wanted you to do. So I feel like I failed at that prompt a little bit, but I did use a medium that I wouldn't have otherwise bought or used. So swings and roundabouts, isn't it really? New experience, limited colour supply, so that makes it a little bit more challenging in itself. Next, below you notice something shining, a treasure chest filled with a few measly coins. It looks like a couple of creatures nearby have stolen some of the treasure. Draw a seahorse and a crab swimming away with the coins. Then open the bottle. Now this was really, really fun. I really enjoyed this. So I drew my little crab, my little seahorse, and I was really impressed with myself. I think they came out really cute. Because the seahorse was going over the treasure chest, I went in with my white Signo to cover up those lines so then I could colour on top. But again, colouring on top with those pencils didn't work that way round either very well. So yes, I've coloured him in, gave him a little purple colour. I went quite pale because I knew that would be hard to cover over. And then I've got my bottle. I gave him a little bag filled with the coins. I thought that was really cute. So yeah, I really enjoyed that page too. Next page. So this is my final page of where I've got to so far. I love maps. I just sit there scrolling through Google Maps trying to see if there's things that I didn't know existed in my local area. And as soon as I saw this map page, I was like, I'm going to use tea to stain this. And then I read the prompt, and that's exactly what she wanted you to do. An old map in a bottle. This should be weathered. It'll come to life with some warm tones. Use tea bags, water, or coffee leftovers to give the map an aged appearance before drawing the regions on the map. Is again, because the way that I do my drawings with zebra, is probably hard to work out what Chloe had already started with. The ones that were Chloe's is the first three. So these three are Chloe's little drawings. And then I've filled in the rest of the little places. I just wanted them again to sit alongside Chloe's drawings so it worked cohesively. So I just kept them very simple. So I did a little tractor for the farm, a very traditional American stilo barn, a frog cave. I decided to just stick with the cave part and not a frog because I'm not sure if that was going to be something in my wheelhouse I was going to be able to draw well. I should have just gone for it really. A very cold place. So I draw an igloo, a desert, coffee house, alien abduction, a small town, a tree door. And then I just popped some extra shading on and used my Faber-Castell pencils again just to pop some creases in. Just give a bit of depth and dimension to the map. Enjoyed doing this, and I'm presuming this is where we are going to go. This sounds very fun. Possibly be abducted by aliens throughout this book. Let's see where we go, shall we? So I'm going to be doing more videos on this book because I feel like it deserves that. It is a really fun book so far, and I'm excited to keep going with it. So let me know in the comments if you have a favourite page from the ones that I've done so far, or what page has been your favourite page to complete if you own this book too. I would love to hear all about it. So if you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel out. And if you would like to see more from me and this book, subscribe to see more. Bye bye.